Hey everyone, welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV. This is Supergirl, Season 2, Episode 3, Welcome to Earth. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome back! I'm so excited. Everyone knows me. I'm Tauri Miller, and I'm joined by two wonderful hosts, Stephanie Wenger.
Hi.
Where can they find you on social media?
At Stephanie Wenger, keeping it easy for everybody. Twitter, Instagram, check it out.
Nice. Lex Michael.
I am Lex Michael, all over social media at the Lex Michael.
Nice. And you can find me at Tauri J, Taurijay. So there's so much to unpack in this episode, so many things to do, so many crazy references. Yep. Those are the things that happened in this episode. And so I'd like to start it off by talking about our sweet, sweet president, Lynda Carter.
Yes, of course, Lynda Carter, who's beloved in the nerd community because she was, of course, Wonder Woman on the TV series of the same name in the 1970s. To see her folded into the Supergirl mythology with no small number of winks and nods to her history as that character was a lot of fun.
I totally agree. I really enjoyed this. It's something that I think they're doing really well, especially in season 2. It's kind of these like winks and nods to the audience all over the place with the past of Supergirl, as well as kind of these other characters from the comic book universe, and also some things that you're seeing from the CW past with Glee and things like that. We've noticed throwbacks as well.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Just to name a couple of those winks and nods, we had the spin that Supergirl did when she was trying to put herself out.
Yes, and of course, on the 1970s Wonder Woman series, that is how she transformed into Wonder Woman. She would take whatever she was wearing, she'd just spin around really fast, and suddenly she's in the Wonder Woman costume.
Of course.
That's how it works, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the dress from Hunger Games, except instead of catching fire, it turns into, a super patriotic outfit.
Yes.
Totally. We also had the jet comment.
Yes, of course, you should see my other jet, which I had a physical happy reaction to.
It was my favorite thing watching you watch this episode, I have to say.
There were a number of times, because so we do watch these episodes together in the studio before we come in to talk about them, and there were a number of points during tonight's episode where either involuntarily my hands would just shoot up into the air on either side of my head and wave around like Kermit the Frog, or I believe after the jet comment, Tauri literally grabbed you by the arm and just put my head on your shoulder because I was so overcome with wonder and glee that I couldn't contain it.
I think my favorite is when you put your hands over your heart and go, oh my gosh, I love this. Yeah. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so fun to watch you because you can tell how much you love the show, and so it's fun to watch with you for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate that, I think. For sure.
I mean it as an utmost compliment,
yeah,
just
take
to be
the
clear.
compliment. Just say thank you.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I mean it as a compliment.
So President Carter, as I'd like to call it, not to be mistaken with Jimmy, was there in order to...
we never get the actual name of the president beyond the president, if I'm not mistaken. So
that is correct.
Well, yeah, go with it.
I mean, that's who she'll be to me forever, is President Carter.
President, totally not an alien.
Yes. Yeah. Not an alien.
Yes.
Was that a surprise to anyone, though? Not to skip ahead, but I felt like I knew that was coming from the moment we saw her. I was like, oh, she's doing alien amnesty. She is 100% an alien.
I would have definitely been surprised if there was not more to that character than we were initially shown, even though, I mean, there's a lot that were initially shown. She's obviously the president of the United States in this world. I wasn't sure which way they were going to take it, and I didn't have this spoiled for me ahead of time. But it's a situation where if you're going to bring in somebody like Lynda Carter to play in your world, and obviously she has a very special relationship to DC mythology, it would be a little bit like bringing in John Wesley Shipp onto The Flash and having him be a one-off character with no greater significance that never returns. It's why even bring them in for something disposable?
Right. Though I would have thought that, so kind of jumping off the John Wesley Shipp piece, they kind of in their own world make it as though the original show that happened was basically another Earth. So I was hoping that in this version of our Another Earth, she was Linda Carter. Or, sorry, not Linda Carter. She was Wonder Woman. So I was hoping there would be more of a nod to that as opposed to her being an alien.
For about a second, when she had the line about "you should see my other jet," I had the thought of, wouldn't it be absolutely incredible if, due to the fact that we do get to play in the multiverse on CW now, what if she was? But I feel like, much like Batman, I feel like they're keeping Wonder Woman relegated to the movies for now. I think we should be so incredibly grateful that they bestowed the gift of Superman upon us on this show. I don't expect to see any of the other members of the Trinity represented anytime soon.
I also think Wonder Woman, and correct me if I'm wrong here, she has a new movie. There is a Wonder Woman movie coming out with
Gal Gadot.
Yes. And so I think they wouldn't have her on this show. That would kind of spoil it for, like, I think they want you in anticipation of that film, just in terms of, like, DC Comics and the way marketing works for them at this point. I
wouldn't want it to be an overt, like, she comes out in the whole outfit. I think I would want it to be like a "that was my past life" kind of thing, where, you know, they hint at it, but she never comes out and is like, "I'm Wonder Woman, and I was once the savior of the world," and all that stuff.
Like Superman last season, like, I feel like that's what they did last season with Superman. They, like, hinted around Superman, but we never actually saw Superman.
Yeah.
But also, too, Supergirl's origin is tied so directly into that character that it's very difficult to do. I mean, you could eliminate Superman from the mythology entirely, but if you're not going to commit to doing that from the jump, Superman is very hard to avoid referencing completely.
Right. That's fair, completely. But I just, I can't imagine. I kind of am happy that they went this alien route to go back to this episode tonight. Like, I think it's an interesting turn. It's something different than having exactly Wonder Woman in this show. Right
yes,
now.
And it's also like, I as much as I appreciated having Superman show up for 2 episodes, it's very much Supergirl's show, and I wouldn't want to see, as much as I would love to see some version of Wonder Woman represented on the small screen, I wouldn't want Supergirl to become a showcase for other really big DC characters at the expense of Supergirl herself.
That's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. President Carter came in to talk about alien amnesty. She's trying to make it so that anyone who is an alien on Earth can essentially come out into the open and live in the world with everyone else. And so there are naturally people who oppose this. And you can see both sides where, from the human standpoint, it's hard for them to deal with aliens in that, like, they're new and they're different, and humans have a hard time dealing with new and different things. And from the alien standpoint, humans are terrible, crazy, xenophobic people, as per the show and people's beliefs about them.
Well, and let's just address really quickly and then move on maybe just as quickly.
Yes.
It's pretty tough not to look at some of the ideas that were addressed in tonight's episode explicitly and not draw a direct line to certain things we're seeing happen on the national stage.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to commend them for taking some of this stuff on as directly as they did. And that's as far down the road of current real-world politics as I want to go at all.
Right.
But I thought that was really interesting, and I thought that was a bold choice.
I agree. I think especially on a network show, to go there, especially they had specifically, I wish I had written down some of the lines, but some really pointed lines in this episode, and it was very clear it was political. It's what's been happening in the headlines across our country. Really interesting and kind of a unique way of looking at our political and social, what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah. And I like that even beyond the, like, political aspect of it, they found a way to make it personal through John and Maggie, saying that, like, even as humans in this earth, like, there are ways that we find ourselves feeling isolated and feeling like the other. And we've all felt that way, whether we are, you know, black, brown, purple, green, blue, male, female, etc.
Well, it also goes back to what Supergirl feels often on this show is we saw, especially in the first season, her feeling like an outcast and that she wasn't, and that was meant to, I feel like especially in season 1, super relatable to young women. We talked about it on this show all the time, and again, I feel like that's what it relates back to, is like everybody has a moment of feeling alone or different or whatever, and they continue to bring that theme up throughout season 1 and now in season 2 as well.
Agreed 100%, which leads me to maybe the one thing that frustrated me about Kara in this episode was the hypocrisy that she displayed in basically being a big ol' racist against aliens from her neighboring planet. That frustrated me a little bit, and I understand why, from a storytelling point of view, you have to have this character make the same mistake herself so that she can learn the lesson, be like, oh, I'm doing it too, and I need to grow, and I need to change this, and fine, I get it, and I like the way they played it out. I just felt very, very frustrated when she was basically being racist and punching down at a dude in a cell was weird. Yeah. That was a weird note.
I mean, yes, it was slightly left of her usual character, because the Kara that we know is very much about giving people the benefit of the doubt, and especially since she knew the fate of all of his people. Like, I found it odd that she would automatically just go straight for the murder, punchy, and jaily piece.
Yeah, I think what they were trying to get to with all of that, like, I agree, it was a weird character note, but was that as a journalist, sometimes you have to be able to see both sides of an argument. Even if you think you're fully on side A, you need to be able to see side B, and how they got her there was through that storyline. Yeah. And I think it's going to ultimately make her a better reporter, and you kind of see that in that she was able to write this piece without bias.
Yeah. Thank you. You are the master of segues, because I really wanted to talk about her piece on Lena Luther. It's her first assignment, and Lena Luther has this box that will essentially identify anyone who's an alien, and she has very strong feelings about it. She being Supergirl, and she has a lot of trouble not letting that bleed into her story.
Yeah, I mean, and understandably so. She's come to this country and, had her own struggles, and she doesn't want to be identified, and you see the fear in her when she is having to potentially use this identifier. I don't know what they referred to it as, a box that identifies aliens. Right. And so you understand kind of why she's afraid of it, and then to see her have to overcome that and write a fair piece was interesting.
Absolutely. This though was one of the other things that did bug me a little bit about tonight's episode, was not that she had to learn that lesson, because I think that lesson's a very important one. It was the fact that Snapper Carr is so far since we met him has been portrayed consistently as this big old jerk. He's a big old jerky McMean jerk face. And yeah, he is a little bit, but his point tonight was entirely correct. Mm-hmm. But one could not be more correct or more imperative to the work of a journalist, is to leave your emotional investment in whatever you're writing about at the door and write objectively. I think the inability of a lot of folks to do that is why journalism has been in a decline over the last long time.
Right.
So that was another note that I thought was a little weird, that by the end of the episode, yes, she does it, but we don't really have this moment where it's no, Snapper, you were correct on this one. And in fact, what we do at the end of the episode is we have Jimmy Olsen standing his ground and showing the dude up a little bit. And I thought that was a little weird.
I felt oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that I felt like I wanted Jimmy to own it and be the boss. And so in some ways I liked that they had this showdown at the end, but I agree. The first thing that I learned in journalism, when I was in college, was that you tell the facts. It's not about what I think about anything. It's the facts of the story. And so to have it kind of be like, well, maybe facts are not as important. Like, no, facts are very important, and I think he had the right message, but it's how you get the message across, and I hope that in the episodes to come, that's what happens, is that his message is still there, but his attitude changes.
Agreed, and that's certainly, I'm certainly not suggesting that Snapper Carr is not a big old mean McJerk face. He totally is, absolutely. I just felt like the validity of his message got lost a little bit, and you're right, it was the way he delivered it, and then the way the show seemed to move away from it. However, it did give us maybe not my favorite nerd moment of tonight's episode, but certainly my favorite, just very recognizable, charming human moment, which is Kara sitting at her keyboard typing, and her delivery of like, I have passion, I have so much passion. It's like, that made me really happy.
Yeah, it was really cute.
Yeah.
I felt like, just to disagree with both of you outright.
Nice. I like it.
I felt like the James moment and the Kara moments were two different aspects of Snapper. One is the beginning or the budding phase of Snapper as a mentor for Kara, showing her how to be a better journalist, etc. And the other one was just that he was just being a big dog because he's been in the industry a long time, and it was a chance for James to really come into his own. So I felt like they were definitely separate, but it was consistent with the character.
Agreed on that point as well. And I did like the scene. I'm not knocking the scene itself. And I loved the moment where Snapper threatens to walk and Jimmy calls his bluff. Mm-hmm. And before he says anything, and he's a pro, right? He's not going to full-blown smile, but you get that tiny little like twinkle of like, okay, all right, we can do this.
Yeah.
That moment I loved.
Mm-hmm. Everyone has to earn Snapper's respect before he'll let you do anything.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, in the midst of all this chaos, we get this little scene, and by little scene, we get a scene, where we find Maggie Sawyer intruding on Alex's crime scene. And they are so contentious for a little while until they have to work together, which I like them as a team. Because they're both super kick-ass, like professionals, and they both like know exactly what they're doing. And so I want to see more of them together.
Absolutely, and I love putting the two of them together, and I love that we're getting Maggie Sawyer on this show. Maggie Sawyer is a character with a fairly long history in DC Comics. She was created by John Byrne after he rebooted Superman in the 80s, and she's been involved pretty consistently in both Superman and Batman stories. You first meet her, and she's working with this special unit in Metropolis, and they're basically responsible for handling superpowered threats when Superman is unable to. And in the 2000s, she transfers over to Gotham. She is a major player in the series Gotham Central, which is amazing. Then in New 52, she's a regular supporting character in Batwoman, and she actually is in a relationship with Kate Kane, Batwoman. So I like that we're seeing Maggie Sawyer. I like that they seem maybe to be setting her up as not just a professional foil for Alex, but maybe we all pretty quickly started chipping that a little bit,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, like there was definitely, at least they were like leaving that door open, a smidge open, whatever, to a romantic possibility there, which would be really exciting. I think to give Alex an actual partner who is like an equal to her, it's what we've talked about for so long, and it would be really cool to have it be her.
Yeah, hashtag Malix.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Ooh, creating hashtags. Go guys.
So good.
Go.
I mean, I like that we get this. She takes her to this really interesting alien bar where they can be themselves and just hang out. And I like that she is, for a while I thought she was going to turn out to be an alien, but she's just a woman who like accepts these aliens and really like finds comfort with them.
And I think she's going to help Alex, regardless of whether it becomes more than a friendship or not, really help her learn to accept that some aliens are not evil. Like, that she's going to come around and realize that some can do good things and some can do not so good things.
Yeah.
Well, and also the alien bar, on top of just being cool, I feel like if you want to make literally any story in any genre about 7 or 8 notches cooler, just introduce an alien bar. Yeah. But this also is a way, and they don't really spend too much time talking about it because, Kara's an alien and Jean's an alien, so we know there are other aliens out there. The fact that there are this many extraterrestrials currently taking residence in this city, to me, anyways, a fairly new idea that we just very quietly said, oh yeah, no, totally, there's a ton of them here. Yeah. They're all over the place.
Well, I had thought about it at the beginning of the season because we had that giant prison crash onto Earth, and they were collecting as many aliens as they could from there, but like at the end of the day, they never gathered everyone. So I had wondered where everyone went, and now they're just kind of hanging out, hiding out in a bar.
You know what's funny is, did either of you guys see The Secret Life of Pets?
Yes.
Okay. So does it not feel like they're like the underground, like there's a whole society happening that you're not, like there's the pets that all have a home, and then there were like
it's like the Society of Lost Pets or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That was like underground. And that's what I felt like this bar was like it all exists and everyone's there, but like it wasn't readily seen in the daylight. Like,
right.
And so that was my sad but true comparison.
Okay, all right. I got very Men in Black vibes from it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair too.
I mean, I get the connection because everyone here is probably a refugee from somewhere, which is basically what all of those pets were, just to kind of keep in that same metaphor, and that like they're all people who were abandoned in some way, shape, or form, or running away from something.
Absolutely.
And they found community together in National City in this sweet bar with a super, super hot bartendess.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. Bartendis?
Bartendis.
Is that, are you coining that right now?
Yeah. Hashtag
Okay.
bartendis.
Hashtag bartendis. What do you think the bar food at an alien bar is like?
I imagine it doesn't really come in sweet boxes, but like it's got to be. I mean, we saw sprays,
Yeah.
What do you think? You know what? I think that alien food could be really tasty, but what I know is tasty is HelloFresh. And HelloFresh supports AfterBuzz, which is great. You know that you get all this programming for free. So we wanted to tell you about our sponsor. HelloFresh is a meal delivery service that makes cooking fun, easy, and convenient. So you get step-by-step instructions. So whether you're expert chef or a novice in the kitchen, you can create a meal in under 30 minutes. And they source all their ingredients, so they're fresh, measured to exact quantities, so you never end up with that like random cheese that you're never going to use, and it eliminates food waste. So they employ a full-time registered dietitian on staff who reviews each recipe to ensure that it's nutritionally balanced, which is awesome. My friends and I use it for girls' night, and we love it. It's so much fun, and it's great to like cook with a group, or if you're coming home after work, easy to do, 30 minutes, easy enough. So AfterBuzz has a special code for you. You can use promo code BUZZ on the site, and that'll get you $35 off your first week of deliveries. So visit HelloFresh.com and enter BUZZ when you subscribe.
Nice.
Nice.
That sounds really tasty. I'm so hungry right now.
They're such good recipes and just like super fun for a group of people together if you're planning a dinner party, whatever. It's great.
Sweet. Yeah. Dinner at Stephanie's after this.
Yeah.
Nice.
You guys
Great.
come on over.
Thanks.
And while we're taking this short break, I just wanted to say thank you everyone for supporting us through the first season and through this episode. Make sure to go onto iTunes and like and subscribe. Give us them sweet comments. 5 stars if you love what we're doing. 4 stars if you don't. The other stars do not work. And if you leave us a comment, we will make sure to read it here on the air. So next week, if we find new comments, we will read them for you, from you. Great.
Yeah.
That is iTunes.
Yeah. Tweet us too.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed, all of the social medias.
Yes, we're big fans. I know I respond to everything you do too. I'm sure you do as well. So it's fun. Definitely reach out any way you can.
So alien bars.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah, we
speaking
need
of
to go back to our alien bar.
Oh, yes. Because we get, one of our favorite Martians finds his time there.
Yes. There's a story that this reminded me of, a comic book story called, it's a Justice League story called New Frontier. They did an animated movie of it a handful of years ago. It's fantastic. If you can't track down the book, I highly recommend the animated movie. It's basically an alternate timeline story set in, I want to say, an alternate, it's like 1950s. The internet's going to be mad if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I'm sorry. But in it, J'onn J'onzz, the Martian Manhunter, same character, but is basically working as a private detective sort. So when he walks into this bar in full Martian appearance, but walks around looking through this bar, detecting and whatnot, I got flashbacks to this story. It just filled me with such joy and such happiness and so many wonderful feelings.
Yeah. I could tell because you did my favorite over the heart.
I did the silent "my heart is full of love."
It's my
gesture.
favorite thing. It's great.
But while he's there, he discovers another Martian.
Yes, and I knew, and we had alluded to the fact that we were going to be seeing Miss Martian on the show this season. I didn't realize how soon that was happening. When she turns around and they fully mimic the J'onn J'onzz is a Martian revelation from season 1.
Yeah.
That was when my hand shot up and I did the Kermit Muppet Arms thing. I was really excited. Sidebar, and maybe I'm the only one, I would watch an hour a week of nothing but Martian Manhunter hanging out at dive bars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Indeed.
Amazing. Yeah. I feel like you could make that into a pretty amazing, like, sci-fi sitcom.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun.
I think what I like the most about the discovery of M'gann is that, especially in this episode, everyone seems to have found their equal. Alex found Maggie. Kara now has Mon-El.
Indeed.
And John now has M'gann. And so now we get to explore what once was a world of isolation. Now we get to see how they can live amongst people who are like them and how they get along and the separation between what their beliefs are and things of that sort.
I felt like this episode, kind of relating to that, was, so episode 1 and 2 was really a transition from CBS to the CW in tone and everything. And then this episode, it felt like, here we are, now we're gonna jump into the meat of this season. And by introducing these pairings, I felt like that's what we're getting into now.
My reaction, my like silent laughter, was remembering some of the ways they lampshaded the fact that they were clearly on a different network. Like, has this base always been here? Sure, yeah. We're just hanging out here now because.
Totally.
Yeah. But I am so. Vocabulary fails me in this moment trying to describe the excitement I feel at the prospect of getting to track the Martian Manhunter Miss Martian relationship through this series. My only concern is that we already see how little time J'onn spends in his Martian form because of how expensive it is.
Right.
Now there's two of them. Like tonight, in their first conversation with the president, when the president asks him, well, since your true identity is public, I'm surprised you don't spend your time, out and living as a Martian in your actual form. And I was expecting him to say, well, I would, except it's very expensive. It's less expensive for me to assume this form. And now there's going to be two of them. So that's like, you got to stretch that. This budget must be stretched so thin right now because it's another episode where the effects looked tremendous.
Yeah.
Now there's two people who are going to just be incredibly pricey, just standing in the frame doing nothing. And I'm curious to see how they're going to balance.
I think you're going to see a lot of that relationship happen in quote-unquote human form, and then you'll get the occasional...
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And I completely understand why that is the case. I want him to be green all the time.
Maybe we'll get partial transformations with practical effects so that, they'll just transform their head and just be walking around. I think that would be the ultimate compromise.
Yes. I will wait for that day.
We get a green hand every so often. Or they just use the powers a lot more and we just get the red eyes, which I think was a good effect last year. Before we had the full transformation, we had the eyes and we had the movement when he went through the door. And I thought that was enough for me because that takes about as much budget as maybe a flash effect, which they are able to stretch out as much as possible, and they do amazing job with.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that if they're still using their powers, I don't need the full green like every week, but I would appreciate it like at least once a month. Once a month, give me some full greens, even if they're just high-fiving. You know, they'll be like, Martian high five, transform. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be like once a month, every 5th episode. Like, I imagine it'll be in that time frame. Like, every 3 to 5 episodes, you'll get that.
Yeah.
But again, I was surprised very pleasantly that they let him play that whole scene walking around the bar in full Martian form, because that I would think would be you just have him be human, and it would actually make textual sense why he might be in disguise in a place he's never been.
Right.
But they didn't. He was totally great, and it made me happy.
It was great.
Well, I mean, he was amongst his
That's true. He wasn't in an alien bar, which makes sense. But it's not. Maybe it's an alien neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an alien bar outside, unless it is.
That
So
would be expensive.
It's like literally expensive.
If we're talking budget, yeah, that would be an expensive place to be.
Yes.
It's like, we don't go into that neighborhood. Why? It's just the effects are too expensive.
Cool. Sorry, guys, my brain.
Sorry, I don't know if I just threw that off, but, you know.
Oh, no. So, I mean, I feel like we've hit a lot of the main aspects. I feel like there is a little bit of news and gossip, but it's like the smallest kernel of news and gossip. So I'm just going to keep saying news and gossip until I hear the sound that symbolizes news and gossip.
TV news.
Well, don't say there's a little and then expect the cue.
But we got the title for the crossover for The Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl, and it's Invasion is the title, and we know that the enemies of that crossover are going to be the Dominators. So we're going to get aliens in the Flareoverse, which is really interesting and amazing. You seem like you're really excited.
I'm really excited.
I feel like he's about to jump out of his chair.
I
like
know.
he's like this close.
Just you guys. Come.
I know. It's a good time to be alive.
It is an amazing time to be alive. This excites me so very, very, very much.
I mean, I think it's going to be amazing to see. Just when we got the taste of Grant Gustin, The Flash, coming over to Supergirl, that was so great. So I'm really excited to see how they make everything kind of come together. And it's going to be like a multi-day event from what I'm hearing on the CW, because each of these shows, it's like Monday through Thursday now are these. So it'll be crazy to see how that comes together, because you don't get episodes that go over the course of a week very often.
Yeah.
Well, and too, it's so exciting to see these iconic characters meet each other. In many cases, it's going to be Supergirl meeting pretty much everybody for the first time. But I love when you put these iconic characters together, you always, before they team up to defeat the greater evil, you always end up pitting their abilities against each other in some fun way. Even if it's like a tag at the end of the story, like the really quick little race Barry had with Kara on that crossover. The thing I'm looking forward to the most is pitting Supergirl against Green Arrow and seeing whether Kara can break Oliver's scowl.
Interesting.
I mean, she is really adorable. I think she can do it.
And all he does is grumble.
What's interesting though is that I think this is like kind of TV Avengers, if you will. Like it's gonna be super fun to see everyone. Yes, super, I did it. It's gonna be super fun to see everybody together, and I'm just really excited about it.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and like I didn't have a chance to send the images to the producers. I just found out right before I walked in. So I'll tweet out the images they've released. They're really cool looking. You get to see the team kind of fighting together. No spoilers or anything. Just it's more like a action-y team shot, which I love. Love them. They're like splash pages. It's so good. So I mean that's basically all the news I have. So I think we should move into predictions.
Awesome.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So on our next episode preview, we basically have a fight club for aliens, which is badass. I can say that on television, right? Badass! Okay, it's great. It's real cool.
Indeed.
So it looks like Maggie's still on the scene. She and Alex are teaming up, and they're trying to take down this fight club. Supergirl is joining in the ring in order to help them infiltrate, which should be amazing. What do you guys think will happen either in the next episode or in the next coming episodes?
Well, the biggest lingering thread now currently that has me going, what is the reveal we get at the end of the episode that the president is in fact an alien herself. And I didn't know how big or small a role Linda Carter was going to play in this season, but I think, maybe tell me if you guys disagree, I think that tease is letting us know that we're in for a bit more Linda Carter than maybe I previously expected, which excites me a great deal, certainly. I don't know that I think she's going to show up at the Alien Fight Club, but wouldn't that be amazing?
So cool.
I agree. Really excited to see where that goes. I'm really interested in Kara's relationship, or Supergirl's relationship with Mon-El. And how that plays out. I could see it being, it is CW, as we said off camera. I could see it being romantic. I could see it being they come together and like join forces in some way, because he doesn't seem as evil as we once thought. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
You said it's interesting how much he calmed down, and I understand totally. It's like you wake up, you don't know what's going on, and all of a sudden I'm in prison. I'd be really mad too, but it is funny to me what a complete about face he did.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's like totally now CW heartthrob. So that's cool. That happened. I'm interested to see where it goes.
You're so schmarmy. I don't have anything crazy in terms of predictions. I definitely think that we're gonna get. I think that Martian Manhunter and Megan are gonna have completely different morals, and I think that's gonna be a very big point of conflict between the two of them, which will be really interesting. I'm hoping that they will eventually pull her into the fold. We had talked about the potential romantic interest between Maggie and Alex. I know that there were teases that someone is essentially going to come out as an LGBT character this season in Supergirl. So it may have been that Maggie was introduced, and so she is that character, or it could be that Alex is going to become that.
I guess then it becomes a semantics argument about the phrasing, because Maggie doesn't come out. Maggie shows up fully out and just owning who she is. So I would it's a totally semantics thing, but I would argue that probably, hopefully doesn't refer to Maggie, if only because I totally chip Maggie and Alex.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
We need it. Malex. Hashtag Malex! But yeah, so those are my main things. I think this alien amnesty thing is definitely going to be a running theme throughout the season, and I'm actually super excited about it because it gives a good conflict with the amount of aliens that are being introduced this season.
It's just amazing to me. Like, I can't. Throughout this season, you're gonna hear a lot of me going, "This is just the best."
I'm so excited with the direction the show is going, because I think they're really opening up this universe. Because last year on CBS, they really want it to be a procedural, and now you have a very different show going on with a lot of stories that are gonna go on half a season, a full season, what have you. And I think that is such an exciting place for Supergirl to be.
Yes.
Agreed.
Awesome. And on that note, I think it's time that we bid y'all adieu. Thank you for joining us this week on AfterBuzz TV on the Supergirl After Show. We're here every week, Mondays at 10. Joining me this week, let's start with Lex.
I am Lex Michael, all over social media at the Lex Michael, and if you're a fan of DC on the CW on ABTV, I'm all over that. I'm on this show, as you can see. I'm on Arrow Wednesday nights with this charming gentleman at the end of the table.
Hello.
I'm also on Legends of Tomorrow, so check us out all over the DC sphere. Come nerd out with us.
Nice.
He's all over the crossovers. I'm Stephanie Wenger, and you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, all over social media at Stephanie Wenger.
And I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J. It's TAURIJAY. As Lex said, you can find me all over the DC slate as well, here on Supergirl, on The Flash, and Arrow. And coming in November will be The Librarians, which has nothing to do with DC.
Yes.
So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week, and have a super week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.